Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Thanks to everybody for joining us tonight on the Minnesota State High School League and the Minnesota Youth Athletic Services Recruitment Forum. Um, Couple housekeeping things. Tony Schrepfer from MYAS is on here tonight with me. I'm Jason Nickleby from the league, and I oversee the officiating program. So I'm going to take us through those pieces. And then Pam Iniger is the face of the officiating program at the league. She's on here as well. And she will help out with questions and so on. If you have any questions as we go, I would say throw them in the chat. The nice thing about these forums is that there's typically some experienced officials who are on here who can answer those questions, and Tony is an experienced official himself, and he can answer those things, and certainly Pam as well. So with that, we will go ahead and get started. Typically, at these recruitment forums, we typically started off with my colleague at the Minnesota State High School League office, Tim Layton, and Tim Layton in our office. He's part of our media team, but he's also been a basketball official for 35 years, and um, he also, at one time or another, has worked softball and soccer and some other things from an officiating standpoint. And what he typically covers, and I'm going to take this for him tonight, is the importance of joining a association or finding a mentor in this vocation. And I'll start with the association. So we have over 100 unique associations in the state of Minnesota, and they serve all of our sports that have officials, all 18 of them. We have associations that assist both new and veteran officials with getting assignments, with mentorship, with training, and they just help you in your journey as an official. And it's not required to join an association, but it's certainly a really good idea to do so, because in many cases in the state of Minnesota, um, assignments are obtained by going through an association. They provide those assignments. So, um, that's not true in every part of the state or every sport necessarily, but for the most part, most of the assignments in the state across most of our sports are provided by associations. So certainly would encourage you to consider joining an association, finding an experienced mentor who can help you as you learn and you grow in this avocation. Um, all of our associations are listed on the league's website, and we have a filter or a search function where you can search by part of the state or by sport to determine which associations you might want to join. In addition, Pam will send a recording of this forum tonight along with the list of associations to you, so you have the ability to contact any of them to join. And then we also send the attendees tonight to the associations to let them know who was on this call and who's interested in getting into officiating, and they will connect with you as well. So hopefully you'll find that connection with associations and that you'll find it beneficial and supportive, and as you start your journey as an official. So um, if you become registered as an official and go through the process to officiate, you will see on one of our modules, the general officials module, it's called, you'll see roughly a 3-minute video that my colleague Tim Layton put together about the benefits of joining an association. You'll see that video that he produced. So um, that's the benefits of association membership. Again, not required. but in many cases, um, you're not going to get a lot of assignments or as much training or mentorship or just connections with fellow veteran officials than if you kind of go it on your own. So just throwing that out there as a plug to consider association membership, and it's separate from us with the league or separate with the MYS. It's a separate piece, but they very much are in support of each other and work together very much on recruitment and retention efforts of officials. And um, as an example, on Monday, we met with the associations for volleyball to begin our preseason work and planning. We met with soccer a few weeks ago, and we meet with football tomorrow afternoon. So we're always connecting with associations and working with them to help with recruitment and retention of officials. So that would be my plug for associations, and I would also throw out there that that goes hand in hand with mentorship. Um, we're always learning um, in this business. I've I've been at officiating for 30 years almost, 20 something, 25 with the league, believe it or not. And I'm always learning something every time I work a game, every time I go to a clinic, every time I do a test or watch a module or any of those kinds of things. I'm always learning something. And that's especially true, obviously, when you're newer to the vocation. So, encourage you to connect with a veteran official who can help you with tests or help you with the requirements or getting uniforms or how to get assignments. And then when you work contests, you know, how do you get better each time? And that's our goal. Um, Tony and I have long said that if we worked a perfect game, we would retire, and we're still working. So we've never worked a perfect game, and never will. Um, but we're always learning. So as far as there's a question about association. Um, membership and how to join. What I would tell you is if you go to the league's website, mshsl.org, and go to the officiating page, there is a search function where you can search the associations again by sport or by part of the state. And then you can reach out to their contact people, and they will take you through the process of how to join their association and what that looks like. And each association is different. Some of them um, will have a dues structure where you pay, a small amount to join with them. Some will waive those dues. Some will help you with get uniforms, assignments, all those kind of things. So you would reach out to their contact person and they'll take you through the process of joining their association. And I would tell you in the metro area, the associations just are really good, pretty much across the board. And so our recommendation, you can do whatever works for you. Our recommendation is to work with an association that covers games or contests in your part of the Twin Cities. So Gopher State covers the northern part of the metro area, football, basketball, softball. St. Paul Cap City covers the east, Minneapolis covers the west, Suburban covers the south. All four of them very good, but they cover different, parts of the metro. So that's how I would look at it from that standpoint. Once you get outside the metro area, you pretty much would look at associations that are in your particular um, part of the state or your sport. Now, association membership is completely separate from us. So we don't get you assignments. We don't, you know, we provide training and we provide testing and we provide, resources to get better. But ultimately, the associations are the ones that are going to be helping you with mentorship and with getting assignments, and those kinds of things. We're more on the eligibility and making sure that you've done the things you need to do to be ready for. um, for the season. So hopefully that helps answer your questions about joining an association and the benefits of doing that. So, okay. Um, have a kind of a presentation on kind of next steps and so on as far as uh, high school league eligibility and registration and testing and all the different steps. And so we're going to take you through that. And Tony will cover the Minnesota Youth Athletic Services side of things. So um, this first this first page is a look at some of our state tournament officials over the past couple of years. All great people representing a wide variety of our state and different sports and so on. And just a real good representation of who we are as a league and as officials. So hopefully, as officials, in your career, you aspire to and you eventually gain, the goals that you have in officiating, and hopefully one of your goals at some point along the line is to work at one of our state tournaments, like the folks that are on this slide. Um, it's a great culmination to a good year, but just the regular season in and of itself is really a great time. So I mentioned Tony, and I'll have him introduce himself when he gets to his section. But my name is Jason Nickleby. As I mentioned before, I'm an assistant director with the league, and I oversee our officiating program. Brett Carlson was the longtime community education director at North Branch, and he got us started on this on the forum and really pushed it. Didn't have any officiating background at all, but was really passionate about it. Unfortunately, he passed away a couple years ago, but we've continued to host these forums and have really pushed hard to have good content and good supports for officials because that's what Brett was a champion for, even though he never officiated a uh, single game in his life. He still was very passionate about it, and we continue to hold these in his memory. Um, I mentioned Pam. She's amazing. She's works with me in the officiating program at the league, and she's kind of your go-to person. If your association or a mentor can't help you, she's right there to assist. We also have regional and state coordinators, which are folks in every sport that represent each part of the state that has officials, and they're the experts, our supervisors that oversee the program in their part of the state, and then they work back with us to try to achieve consistency of officiating and mechanics and how we handle contests. Then we mentioned the associations. Again, over 100 unique associations part of our program, and then from the associations, each one of them has a charter clinician. So they're the liaison to the league to help their members with rules, with how to work with players and coaches, um, and just any mentorship, any supports that they can provide. That's their role as the charter clinician. And then we also have observers. So we send observers out in every sport, pretty much, to go out and watch officials work, whether it's new or veteran officials, to try to provide feedback and give you some information on how you can improve as an official. And they're really positive, and they're a great group, and we do quite a bit of that to try to help assist officials um, in their work. So Tony is the director of officials with the MYAS. They oversee youth officiating in a few sports, and so he's going to talk over his program and what he does with them. But just know that whether it's a sport that MYS oversees officiating for or not, the MYS and the league are right here to support you in getting started in officiating. And if we don't have the connection in that youth market or in another area, we will certainly find the way to get you started. So I just want to throw that out there before Tony got started with his presentation. So, Tony, take it away.
Thanks, Jace. Yeah, Tony Schreppler from the MYS. I see. I'll just quick kind of piggyback on the associations that you're going to want to join. When you attend one of the state high school league in-person clinics, which you should go to, the Zoom as well. Those are good as well as we're doing now. But the in-person, that's where you're going to be those. That's where you're going to get those connections with other officials, and you'll ask, hey, because most of the association leaders will be at these in-person clinics because they're looking for new officials just as well. So that's a question you'll want to ask when you do attend one of the in-persons or the Zoom, the virtual clinic that they offer. It's the same thing with us, just as well. So again, we do service youth athletics between third and eighth grade. Some of our baseball goes up to the 18U as well. So we cover a lot of like this is where you're going to get your feet wet, right? If you've never officiated before, we can we our program is mirrored to the high school league because we want to make sure that your transition from youth to high school is kind of seamless. So we are connected. And that gives you the opportunity to start with youth, right? We're going to put you with some, third, fourth, fifth grade basketball games or football games or whatever you're interested in. Um, We'll put you with the seasoned veteran official, one of our, people that have been around a while. And that's how you get started. And then once you get going, people are going to see you, and that's how you're going to get connected. They're going to go, who do you work for? We want you to work for us. And we have assigners for all of our sports. We have five in basketball, we have like 10 in baseball, and we have like four in football. So in football, we're just getting started. And that's what we have coming up this fall. So right now our officiating program just kicked off for football. So you would just go to our website, mys.org, hover over officials, and you're going to have those three choices to choose from, be it baseball, basketball, or football. Again, football is getting started. We're just getting ready. I'm actually finishing up the touches with getting basketball set for this coming fall to register for our winter season. Again, we cover many areas throughout the metro area. We do outstate stuff too with some of our tournaments. I was just in Marshall this past weekend at a baseball tournament. So there's plenty of opportunity for you to get started if you're not, you don't want to jump into the high school realm, which if you're brand new to officiating, that's what the MYS is for. Again, we have the same training program. You'll go through a vetted program where you have to take a test, background check, concussion module, all the things that we do at the high school level. And again, for those that move on to the NCAA, you'll do the same thing. And as Jason spoke earlier, each time you attend one of these Zooms or go to an in-person clinic or have a test, group together, you're going to learn from people that have been on the road that you're going to be traveling on. Okay. So again, just ask questions, be a sponge, and we all work together at getting better. So like Jay said, I haven't had a perfect game yet. That's why we keep going out. And that's one of the things I truly like about officiating because you never know what's going to happen in a game, right? When you first start, you're almost like a spectator, but now you got to put on the ref hat and you got to go, okay, I'm in this game and I got to get you just become one with the game, really. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for people that are excited to go, right? And learn and that's how, and we're going to make mistakes. Okay. We will make mistakes along the way. And that's how we get better, right? It's like when you're a kid and your dad says, hey, don't touch the grill. It's hot. You touch it. And you're like, oh, that was hot. Okay. Am I going to touch it again? That's how we should be learning as officials, right? We don't want to keep making those same mistakes over and over, and we will. And that's what you have your comrades, because that's we're all in it together. So, Jay, you want to flip to the next page for me, please, if you could? And that'll be the start. Again, we are connected with the high school league. Anybody that runs one of our clinics is an official. They're an active official. So when you go to one of our clinics, it's the same setup as the high school league. We're going to be at a gym or on a field or wherever, and we're going to be talking about officiating, and we're going to be, focused on that sport specific for that season. We have our continuing education throughout the year, just like the high school league. We're getting into making some videos and sending things out. That way people can keep learning and, what's trending in football or soccer, right? That in volleyball, because I have volleyball coming up myself this fall. So, and if there's things that are happening on the court or the field that are starting to be a trend, then what we do is we put together a little training video or just some dialogue to say, hey, this is what's been going on, this is what we see, and this is what we'd like you to do, right? So again, it's that continued, just learning. And again, we are partnership with the high school league, so it's a great transition from youth to high school. Again, if you are interested in football, that's what we got going on right now. Again, basketball will start up in October for us, and our registration opens on October 1st for that. But football registration is open now. And again, that's where you get reps. You're going to be working weekend basketball tournaments where, you'll do 3 to 5 games a day. And that's how you get reps. It's like working out, right? You got to go out there and see plays after play. So when you do get to the big show, work in the state tournament for the Minnesota State High School League, you've had a lot of battles underneath your belt and you know what to do when you're out there. Again, and we're all here to support you anytime you have a question. Again, if they can't answer it, we'll find the answer, right? I mean, that's what we do. And again, for those associations, you'll know which one you want to join. And I know there was one about soccer. There's five. If you have a question, you can ask me just as well because I have connections with all those associations. Um, and we can get you in the right spot. That way you're not having to travel across town. And sometimes you want to, make sure you think about your work. Where am I leaving at the end of the day? Because a lot of the times we go right from our job to a game. So you let your association know, hey, I work downtown, but I live in Plymouth, or I work downtown and I live in North Branch, or whatever it is. They're going to try to get you somewhere in between there. So that way you're not traveling all over the place. But the higher you go, the more you're going to travel. So no, that's part of the gig just as well. Um, Again, anytime you need anything from the MYS, reach out. Um, you can my contact information is right on the website. Again, the link is right there for you to register for our upcoming sports. Um, Again, we have our in-person clinics scheduled for our football. It's August 11th, and then there's one going to be August 25th. And then we're just putting together our stuff for basketball, like I said. It's a great application to get part of. Again, we'll get you in the right place, and to get a uniform. All the uniforms we have are going to be at Dave's Sports Shop, Maple Grove, Fridley location, and then there's also General Sports that still carry some things down there in Edina. So yeah, by all means, reach out to us. We're always available. That's our day job, and then our night job is to go out and officiate. So I hope you're excited about joining, and we'll get you in the right spot. And it's a great part-time job, really, and that's what it comes down to. But if you're doing it well, it's not even a job. I like to just be out on the field, and I got Legion playoffs tomorrow, so that's what I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I got a doubleheader. It's always something, right? You're always just out there and being part of the action. Because as athletes, we start going up and we plateau and then we start coming down. Somewhere along that line, you can become an official and still be a part of the game. So don't be afraid. Get out there and do it. Should be fun. Again, if you have any questions throughout, reach out to myself or Jason on, yeah, Pam. We'll all be here to help you.
Awesome. Thank you, Tony.
Yep.
I would just, it just again, to reiterate, if it's a sport that MYS does not have a relationship or involvement with, we can help you get set up. So if you want to go work gymnastics, we have connections, for that. If you want to go work swimming and diving, we have connections for that. We have connections for all of our sports at the youth level, and they may not necessarily be through the MYS, but they're through USA Volleyball or USA Hockey or USSF or all those different organizations that work in the youth area. We can get you connected with them. But I would also throw out there that working ninth grade, 10th grade uh, events for the league is really a safe place to be. Principals, superintendents, ADs, there's a level of accountability there, meaning they're gonna, and Tony and his team does a good job with this too. But there's this level of accountability and expectations for behavior and how people behave. And if they don't, they're going to be held to account. There's going to be a standard for that. And that isn't necessarily true in all the places, but I would tell you at the league and with the MYAS, you're going to be in a safe space where you're going to feel supported in your officiating. Um, why become an official? I mean, Tony, I would say Tony and I and the 6,000 game officials we have at the league all have at least one, if not all of the reasons on the slide and then some, for being a part of the officiating industry. Um, all of my friends are officials for the most part. Um, all of the people in my wedding were officials, and I've been married for 20 years now, and all of them are still good friends. I look forward to seeing those folks. Even in my role where I've moved on, to other levels of play, I still very much stay in touch, and have good friendships with the folks that I worked high school with. So just the relationships are just a really big part of that. You know, we've all had chances, most of us have had a chance to play at the high school level, and we're not able to do that if we don't have officials that give back, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun to get out there and we want to compete. Many of us played something, participated in something, and we wanted to compete either with ourselves or against an opponent or whatever it is to be the best that we could be. And as an official, you do the same thing. You want to compete to be the best official that you can be. Um, and, you know, Stay involved in your favorite sports, obviously. Fitness, I didn't realize how big of a one that was until I stopped working basketball. And then I'm like, I liked it a lot better when I got paid to run up and down the court and stay fit and thin instead of having to go to Planet Fitness to do it. So, uh, you know, highly recommend that avenue and get paid a little bit, to do it. And then lifelong skill development, I think that's pretty underrated. There's skills that you're going to use in officiating that you can use in your work life, in your family life. I have 4 kids. I referee my kids every day. And you use conflict resolution skills and de-escalation skills in your work life, and then there's things from your work life or your family life that you can bring into officiating to help you be successful. So, just very transferable skills from officiating that help you along the way. At the league, um, our job is to promote officiating as something that's desired, that's cool, that you want to do. And the forum is certainly part of that. We register officials, which is the payment aspect, and then we also do the eligibility aspect, which is the test and the module and those kinds of things. Um, we manage observation programs in 18 sports. Training and development is our role. Um, and then we are the liaison to the 100 officials associations we mentioned earlier. And then we're always trying to get better. So we're always working on that. And then finally, from an assignment standpoint, as I mentioned earlier, most of the game assignments, contest assignments during the year, during the regular season, come from associations. And then the league manages the postseason side of things. So if you get into your career and you work for a couple years and keep getting better and better, you'll have that opportunity to work in the postseason. Also, our role is to teach the fundamentals of rules and mechanics and communication and how you manage a game, how you manage an event. And part of that is the online rules modules. One is general that talks about things for the whole year that's not sports specific. And then you have a sports specific rules module that covers rules for that sport for that year. And then we provide the clinics and the continuous training opportunities, which Tony mentioned, includes, training tapes or quizzes or those kinds of things to just keep your mind in the rules book and um, in the mechanics manual or other resources. And then our job is to work with associations to help you get connected. And as I mentioned before, our job at the league is the promotion of a safe environment, and I think we have one at the league in my experience. Um, it's been a pretty safe place to be as an official working high school league contests, just because again, athletic directors, principals, superintendents, it's an education based environment, and they're going to treat it like a classroom, and they're going to promote that safe environment. Um, so speaking of promoting the avocation, a couple picks of Thank a Ref over the years, and there's a bunch of them out there. And we were the first state to do this 8 years ago, and our schools, by and large, do a really good job of trying to make it a positive officiating environment, again, for not just players, not just coaches, not just spectators, but officials as well. So, hopefully at some point in your uh, career that you'll encounter, this kind of thing. We also have officiating toolkits and resources for associations for schools to put up posters, to hand out brochures. We will likely have officiating recruitment kiosks at our tournaments. We're always trying to recruit new people, but it's also important to retain the folks that we have. So we're also very much in tune with that. But, the first aspect is to get people involved in the first place. And um, um, part of that is these these types of things. The registration process, some of you have already done this, so you've paid your fee to get your rules book, get your mechanics manual, get access to clinics, the tests, the modules, all those kinds of things. Um, you would do that through Arbiter. We do everything through Arbiter. If you haven't done that yet, that's okay. We're in no hurry. We can get you going with that. We always recommend that you connect with an association or a mentor and have them help you through that process to make sure that you've done everything you need to do. But we oversee that process. And again, we have close to 6,000 officials across the state of Minnesota that go through this process. This is a rules book year for every official in Minnesota, except for gymnastics and dance team. Those officials are not getting rules books this year unless you're new, then you will. But all the officials in every other sport will get a rules book from us in the mail. And we typically send that out right before the season. Um, Pam and her husband and her son were in the office today helping stuff packets to get them out the door because in the fall we have a couple thousand that need to go out the door and get to our officials across the state. If you're ready to register, so you've connected with an association or you feel like you're ready to go, that will be part of that communication that Pam sends out. Again, we register through Arbiter, and as officials, we do everything in Arbiter. We do all of our eligibility requirements. We do registration. All those kinds of things are in Arbiter. Um, the requirements to be varsity eligible are a general officials module, which you watch once in a year. Whatever your sport, you watch a sport specific module. Then you take an exam and pass concussion module once every 3 years, and then you consent to a background check. If you do those five things and pay the nominal fee, if you do those things, you are eligible to work varsity contests in Minnesota. Many states have a lot more stringent requirements. Ours is pretty basic. to get people going on the varsity side of things. Even if you do these things, you're not required to work varsity. In fact, I would recommend that you work ninth grade and 10th and JV and those kinds of things. But you would be eligible to work varsity if you did those things. And here's kind of what that profile looks like. And this is a picture from last year, but it looks the same. And you would pick the sports and you would go through your personal information. You would consent to a background. Um, Let us know if you're part of an association. Indicate, some other background type stuff, and then you're done. And then you're registered. And when you register, what that means is you're going to be part of our communications. We're going to email you, send you rules books in the mail, those kinds of things. And so you'll get communication and be up to date on what the expectations are as your season is beginning. Um, if you're a first or second year official with us, you pay $30 for the first sport, and then each additional sport is $15 after that. Our third year and beyond officials pay 70 for sport one and then 20 for each additional. And again, that covers rules books, mechanics manuals, the exam, modules, access to training clinics, supplemental liability, and supplemental medical insurance are all part of that fee. You can get other publications if you want, but the things that I just mentioned are included as far as your registration is concerned. Background checks required for every official. When you're coming into the program for the first time, we will run a background check. We run those about 2 weeks before the season starts. So it will say pending, but you don't have to do anything. We take care of it. If there's an issue, we'll let you know. But otherwise, nothing you need to do further. And then we recheck officials once every 5 years. And again, you don't have to do anything, but that's why your birth date and social security number are required as part of the registration process so we can run background checks. Concussion module completion is required by state law. And anyone that's a coach or official that works with youth under the age of 18 must watch a concussion module once every 3 years. This upcoming school year is the third year of a 3-year cycle. So at the end of this school year, we will wipe everybody out as far as completion of the module is concerned, and then we will put a new module on, and everyone will be expected to watch that if they officiate or coach. I talked about the rules presentation and exam by sport. So again, every official completes the general officiating module once per year. And I just finished narrating that today. So it will go up here in the next week or two, and it's available all year long. But each sport has its own rules module, and you watch that each season, every year. And it varies in length. Some are short, they're 25, 30 minutes. Some are longer, they're an hour. Depends on the complexity, of the sport. But every official has to watch that for each sport that they work every year. The exam varies in length, 30 to 100 questions. I would say most are 55 questions now. And you need to score 80% to pass, and you get 2 tries. And we encourage you to use your rules book, connect with mentors, experienced people to help you through the exam. When you're new, you don't realize, all the rules you thought you knew as a player. You figure out that you really didn't quite know the rules quite as much as maybe you thought. But we encourage the exam to be a collaborative process. You're just going to learn more and pick up the rules a lot faster when you are able to work with a mentor and talk through the exam. And again, all of these requirements are completed on Arbiter. Talked about this a little bit earlier. Every official, again, this year is going to get a rules book. You either will get a case book or mechanics manual if we have it in that sport. And then you receive rules changes and points of emphasis that are on Arbiter, so you can see them there, as well as any general league info is also on Arbiter's central hub page. Here's a look at our registration numbers over the last 10 years, just to give you, an idea. Um, Again, I mentioned that we have 6,000, roughly 6,000 contest officials, but you see that total number at the bottom. What that means is that there are um, roughly a third of our officials do more than one sport. So that's why you see the number is higher there. Um, but we've been able to rebound since COVID, which is exciting. And it's also exciting that that we have this many of you on the call tonight, interested in getting into this avocation. I'm hopeful in the next couple of years that we can get to a level that we've never had before, and I think we're going to get there. At the same time, as officials, as a overall staff, we're getting older, and so always trying to replace ourselves with new people. And so we're excited that you're on here tonight to explore what might be next for you in your career in officiating. Talked about this earlier. We provide curriculum and development opportunities in all of these sports. Um, And it's not that we don't provide them or don't want them in the other sports, but in the sports that are not listed, typically those sports do a really good job, better than even than we would do, of providing their own training at the association level. So dance team, as an example, provides many hours of really excellent training, and so we don't double down on their efforts because they do such a great job. And it's not that the other sports don't at the association level, but we want to supplement what they're doing. So we do provide those training opportunities in those sports. And Tony mentioned it earlier. We do provide two Zooms and two in-person clinic opportunities typically every year, and those are free. Those are part of your registration fee. And we also do video training, football and basketball. We've also done some for the other sports, and we're looking at incorporating even more as we move into this next year because we feel it's really important to have video training and other resources available for officials as they look to get better. And talked about this. We have about 35 in-person or Zoom training clinics, and again, roughly two Zoom and two in-person typically per sport. Our associations provide charter clinicians and assigners, and also host meetings and clinics for their members. So, in addition to anything we provide, you're likely to get really great material and resources and mentorship from your association. Now, equipment and uniforms and so on, it varies by sport. If you work gymnastics, you're just going to need a black blazer and you're going to be in good shape. If you're going to work baseball or hockey, you're gonna need a little bit more. And so it varies. But Dave's Sports Shop, Maple Grove, General Sports and Edina are in-person providers. But you also can buy equipment from any online provider that's out there, knowing that we require Smitty uniform tops for many of our sports. Not all of them, but many. The uniform requirements or equipment requirements are listed on Arbiter on our site, and associations, many of them have discounts on equipment, or they might even give it to new members. So something to visit with them or your mentor about. Insurance is one of those things that you don't really think about or care about until you need it. And so just know that when you register with the league, you do get supplemental medical and liability, but we certainly encourage that officials look into the National Association of Sports Officials or um, other insurance providers, both for liability protection, but also, medical or short-term, long-term disability, those kinds of things. Again, not a super exciting topic, not one that people like to talk about, but just something that as officials, when we're making decisions that have ramifications for a contest or whatever, there's that potential that's there, and we just want to make sure that you feel protected in the work that you do. And then we encourage you to work scrimmages or to work practices or work events that help you get ready for the season. And just say yes as many times as you can. Can you work a scrimmage? Yep. Can I work a game? Yep. Can I be at that practice? Can I come watch a varsity contest? Can I shadow you? Just say yes as much as you can. And I get it, family, work, all those kind of things makes it very challenging. When I started officiating, I wasn't married, I didn't have kids. Now I'm married and I have 4 kids, and the the life work balance changes a little bit, and I get that. But if you have the opportunity to say yes, your officiating career is just going to really excel if you do that. And then you're ready to go. You're ready to start working contests, find a mentor, ask for advice, seek feedback, always look to get better. Because we're going to make mistakes, as Tony talked about, and you just learn from those mistakes, and then you move on to the next game. You flush it and forget it, forget your mistakes, move on, and it will just as you get better and get more training and feel more confident, you're going to enjoy yourself more and you're going to want to do it more. And so just encourage you again to say yes as many times as you can. That's going to help you long term. And that's kind of the overview of becoming an eligible registered official with the high school league. Of course, again, certainly encouraging you to connect with associations or experienced officials to help you through the things that I just mentioned. But of course, this is being recorded and you can review it at a later time if that helps you, to answer some of your questions. And of course, Tony and Pam and I are always around to assist you with registration or your questions as you get involved in this application. So I really appreciate that you took the time to visit with us tonight. Um, I will stick around for a little bit if there's, any more questions of me. And then I know Pam's been answering questions in the chat as well, but I'm going to stick around for a few more minutes to answer any questions that you might have. And then again, in the next couple days, week or so, look for Pam to send out a recording of this and then also the link to register, the link to associations, and just other documents and resources that you might look for as you're starting out your career. So congratulations, first of all, for taking that first step and being on here tonight. Um, and hopefully 25 years from now, many of you are, in Tony's, shoes or mine and, presenting to other officials on how to become, a high school official. So thank you for taking the time. And again, I'll stick around for a few minutes and answer any questions. And Pam, is there anything I should address that you didn't get to?
I can answer Brittany's question there. Yeah, if you send us the area where you live, because that's one of the questions I ask when a person gets started brand new with us. I'm like, where do you live? Because we don't want you working. If you live in, say you live in Rogers and we have an assigner that assigns most of their games in like the Southeast Metro, we won't uh, like attach you with um, Brian Lindsay. So Brian Lindsay assigns a lot of our youth basketball stuff down in like Burnsville and Apple Valley. But if you live in Rogers, we'd hook you up with Heidi with Hammer Sports because it's close to your house. But no, as you move, you're going to have to travel to games because as the season goes down, there's lesser games, especially at the high school level, right? Sections. If you're working sections, you're traveling. So again, know that there is some travel involved in what we're doing, but that's part of the fun too, because you're in the car with your teammates usually, right? It's going to be three of us driving to Morehead State, or in Jason's case, there's a caravan of guys going to Michigan or wherever, right? And that's how we do a lot of pregame stuff in the car, and we talk about our lives and other stuff, but we talk about plays that we saw this week. If we do high school and college, we talk about the plays we had maybe on Friday night, and then we're driving down to wherever for doing a college game, and we can, that's how we get better, really. It's the camaraderie part that is one of the best things I think about officiating, and just being involved and still being out there and being active, and it keeps you in shape and keeps you on a structured schedule, right? If you have time, time will find, you know, it always gets used up, right? Your time will always, so, and we value your time. So it's important to, do the right steps. That way you are prepared. So when it comes to that big game, you're ready to go. And by all means, yeah, for sure. So again, let us know where you're at, and for my sakes, and we can definitely get you to the right assigner because ours are posted on our website. If you go to our basketball site, you scroll down, you'll see the 5 assigners we use, and it shows what part of the metro area they cover. But again, you can work for, two of
You
them.
can work for anybody if you want.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah, you're an independent contractor, so you can work for whoever. It's always good to have one main assigner. And then if they don't have anything, you can, reach out to your other one. And for the high school league, yeah, by all means, each one of them will, most of them attend these clinics. So again, I recommend going to an in-person clinic. It's nice to do a Zoom and you don't have to leave your house, come, in the spring when we're doing our spring ones, it's still probably snowy and cold. And it's always nice to be cozy at home, but getting to the clinic, that's where you're going to meet the people. You're going to be able to, because we're in the people business. So you get to see fellow officials, and that's where you can ask questions and get direct feedback, right? I mean, and that's how, that's part of the journey, right? It is. It's the learning. It's definitely changed since I started. We were doing our test on paper. We had to mail them in. If they weren't post dated, you were like, you're, SOL when it came to, being chosen for the state tournament. So yeah, it's at times have it changed and they've gotten better, but yeah, we're always here. Again, let us know where you're at and we can get you to the right association for sure.
Maria, what sport? I'm sorry. So you live in Sleepyeye. Okay, volleyball. Okay. So I would get you in touch with Doug Goodman. He's from Marshall. He's one of our coordinators. He would have the best resources for you in that sport in that part of the state. So, and again, that information will be in the email that Pam sends out here relatively shortly. So, um, as far as our fall, for us for our fall sports, we've established the clinics. Um, excuse me. Um, Football has two in person, one at Rushford Peterson and one at Matamidi High School, and then we have two on Zoom. Volleyball's at Wyzetta and Marshall High School, and then two on Zoom. And then soccer is at Mesabi East and I think Burnsville, and then there's two on Zoom. So, and then swimming is at Mankato East in person, and then one Zoom. So we have those set up already. For our other sports, winter and the spring, we haven't set those up yet, but as soon as we set them up, we communicate with people. Um, Mankato for soccer, there's a group out of Mankato. Jim Roy and Peter Jarnstrom are the main contacts there, and they're really good. They'll take good care of you down in Mankato. Um, um, and then as far as being eligible for a sport, no one is eligible yet. So we haven't put any eligibility items on yet. So even though you register for, say, football, no one's eligible yet because we haven't put the test or the modules or those things up. And those will post on the 4th of August for our fall sports. And then they close on the 20th for everything but football, which has one more week after that. So if you've already registered and paid, just wait for your rules book, work with your association. But with the league, there's nothing for you to do yet until we post those things on the 4th. So just know that. As far as Metro for volleyball, um, you should contact Robin Corshane with them, and it you need to just contact them. You don't need to pay us for them to contact you, but and you don't need to pay them for you to work through that process. But talk to Robin with Metro or Deb Smith or um, Brad Auberg. All of those are people that can help you with that particular sport in the Metro for volleyball. So. Um, Football, you know, if you're snack dab in the middle of the metro, Derek, you're in good shape to pretty much go with anybody. So if you have a connection to an association, go with them. So if you know somebody, go for it. Otherwise, um, you know, probably Minneapolis officials is probably a good place to be where you live, but the other the other three are just as good, and they're all really good. They all do a good job, and you would be in a good spot as far as where you're located. So, um, hoops. Okay, so you're in college at Winona, but live in St. Michael. So, if you're going to be at Winona, you know. during the basketball season, because you're in school, then the best person to talk to down there is MJ Wagonson, who's one of our coordinators down there. She lives in Pine Island, but she would very much be able to connect you with Winona resources. And then if you happen to be back in St. Michael and you're looking, to get involved, either Minneapolis officials or Gopher State would have assignments along the 94 corridor for hoops. And you can be part of multiple associations. I guess I didn't mention that. As Tony said, it's probably best to have a primary, but it's not uncommon for basketball or football officials or soccer, volleyball, baseball to be part of multiple associations. And it's in a lot of ways it's nice because, you know, I, I don't I don't want to see the Northwest Suburban every game. It's nice to go to the Suburban East and it's nice to go to the South Suburban or Minneapolis City or, kind of move around and see some different schools. So it's not a bad thing to be part of multiple groups, I would say.
And
Um,
association leaders will like share officials just as well, knowing that, if you are in St. Michael in your home, you can just let them know. And the Rochester group, because you're going to be in Winona, that Rochester group has connections, and they're like, hey, he's going to be at home for, over Christmas break. That why don't you use them up there? And they'll do that for sure. That way they can, especially when there's like a snowstorm, right? And you can't make it, they're going to try to find somebody locally. And that's how a lot of us got our break at the collegiate level,
yep,
right? A crew couldn't
yep.
make it, and they're like, all right, we got some high school guys in
You're
town. Let's
here's your
give it a shot,
chance. Here's your chance. Make it
right?
happen.
That's what it
You know.
is.
And I think Jim Weinzierl's still wearing his back brace from when he had to carry me that first game, I think. But you know, um, you get your chance, and you make the best of it. But same with the high school side of things. But I think we answered. Do we answer everybody's? Um,
St. Paul Cats
yeah.
do.
So for football, yeah, the four associations in the metro, you know, they generally have an area, but they also have some schools that are not, by them necessarily. So you'd be in good shape with any of them. But I would say if you're in the South Metro and want to stay, down in that general neighborhood, then I would say suburban is probably your best route. Because they have the East Views and the Apple Valleys and the you know, down that way. They also have Belle Plaine and Jordan and, down 169 and those schools as well. So that's probably your best bet, but you'd be in good shape with all of them. They're all really good. So, And I would say that's true of all of our sports. You're not really going to go wrong with an association. Or if you talk to them, they'll probably tell you, oh, hey, you live in a certain place or work in a certain place. I'd recommend that you talk to our colleagues at this association and they'll get you set up. They won't steer you in the wrong direction. So, all right. All right, good. Good engagement. That's always fun. It's not as fun for Tony and I when we have to kind of stare at a screen and people don't, want to ask questions or engage. And I know that's hard for new people, so appreciate that you wanted to ask questions and um, you know, we we're rooting for you. We're looking forward to seeing you get started and stay in touch as the process goes. Don't sit there and say, I don't know how to do this and I'm gonna just give up. No, call Tony, call Jason, call Pam, call a mentor, call association. We'll steer you in the right place. So with that, thank you for joining us. We'll send you the recording and the associations and the links and all the information. And we're looking forward to getting started with the 25-26 school year. Thanks for joining us.